Hi all, my name is David Blowbaum. I'm one of the co-owners of Summit Prep. I just wanted to take the time to show you a sneak peek into what the online ACT might look like. So I doubt that it'll look exactly like this. I think some kinks will have been worked out of it, which is good. But this is what the ACT currently has available for students to see what the online test would look like. So what I'm using is in the official ACT guide, they give you access to 5 online ACT tests. So right now, I would not recommend using those online, because why would you do an online test when the tests are, you're going to get physical copies on test day. But if for some reason test centers aren't able to open up, and so the test is forced to be online, then students are definitely going to want to have practice doing the tests online. So that official guide has access to 5 online ACTs. So that's what I'm using right now. So the first screen just gives you the overall breakdown of the test. So if we begin assessment 1, there's some good and bad things about it. One thing that I cannot imagine that they won't change is if you see in this top right hand corner where my cursor is, it's counting down from 3 hours. Well, the English section is 45 minutes. I can't imagine they won't fix this by test day if it does go online. It doesn't make any sense to be counting down from 3 hours when they only have 45 minutes for this section. Some other features of it though, some things that I like. When you're on question 1, I really like that it highlights it. So students don't get confused, which one they need to be looking at. It just makes it super obvious. Number 1, the instruments of choice, their instruments of choice. So it's a question on verbs, so if it's a question on verbs, it can only be a question on verb tense or subject-verb agreement. Here, they're actually all present tense, so it can't be on verb tense, must be on subject-verb agreement. What's the subject of the sentence? Instruments. Instruments, they are considered. So there's no ambiguity about where we need to be in the passages, whatnot. And then once you go on to number 2, well, then it highlights where number 2 is. So I like that feature. Another thing that I like is, let's say a student skips a question. It's keeping track for you in the top left hand corner how many you have answered and unanswered. So let's say that you've answered a bunch. Well, then what you could do is just, instead of going to all, you could, again, basically all of them are unanswered for me. But you could go to just the unanswered ones. So if you only have 5 unanswered, you could really quickly, go back to your unanswered ones. You could also differentiate unanswered from flagged. So maybe you felt pretty good about it, but not 100%. So then what you do, let's say we didn't feel 100% comfortable on number 3, we would, in the bottom left-hand corner, flag for review. So then again, at the end of the test, if we're confident on an answer, we put an answer down. If we're not confident at all, we have no idea, I might leave it blank, and then cycle back to the ones that were unanswered. And then if I had more time, I'd probably go back to the ones that are answered but I had flagged. So I really like that sorting feature. It's actually better than if students were taking it by paper, actually. So that's the English section. Now let's go on to the math section. So the math section, pretty standard. It's the math section. So same setup of unanswered, flagged. You'd need scrap paper to do the questions on. Let's go to the reading section. So for the reading section, I really like that the passage is right next to each individual question. So we could take that for granted, but like right now, if you're taking a ACT online that's been scanned or something like that, you have to keep scrolling up and down from the questions, which are all together, and then up to the passage. It's a mess. So it's much, much easier to do questions when you can just visually look at the words in this. So the passage can reasonably be described as being divided into 2 sections that taken together explore. So it's nice you can keep that in your mind or refer back to it simultaneously while you're looking at the passage. Now, I don't like that they don't give you a way to underline or highlight, because that's really a huge advantage when something's printed, is that if you lose focus, you can just start underlining everything to engage your body in the process of what your mind and eyes are doing, to keep yourself focused. So I'm hoping that by test day they'll actually, come out with some tools where you can annotate or mark things in the passage. So it's just not this, one thing of text. Like they don't even have spaces in between paragraphs. So that gets, like at 65, presumably that's a new paragraph, but we don't know if the there just couldn't fit on that next line. So I don't think that will be a problem once the test actually launches, and hopefully they'll have, some more tools. Now, if we go to the science section, even more so, I really, really hope they come out with some tools for annotating. So again, it's nice, cool. They're next to one another, the passage and the questions. I'm actually not crazy about the fact that you do have to scroll up and down more. I mean, on the reading, I feel like it's not as relevant because at least it's next to it. But I like being able to see the whole science section at one time, because you just have to skim for like different figures or key terms more often. So I think it's a little bit cumbersome to have to do this scrolling, and it's really, really a downside that they don't let you annotate. So I can try and show you actually if I can figure out how I do it. So like if I was able to annotate, the big benefit to being able to annotate is like they might give you, when molecular mass is 150, and maybe they're asking you, I don't know, about whatever group this is, group 3. So at molecular mass of 150, what was its BP for group 3? Well, then you can literally trace up, trace over. It's hugely helpful to be able to draw all over these graphs and tables and such. So the science section, I think, is the biggest downside if they don't include annotating tools. But hopefully they will. But that's it. I mean, hopefully by seeing it, hopefully by seeing a snapshot of it online, it dispels some of the uncertainty around it. I mean, it's really not scary. I mean, the AP exams, what the College Board did with the AP exams, really confused people for what the online SAT and ACT might look like, because the AP exams totally changed when they went online. They became 45 minutes and open note. Now, the ACT and SAT, they're going to be the same thing, just online. But again, hopefully we get those annotation tools and things like that. They will be curved differently, though. So let's say you had the you take the September 2020 test on paper versus you take the September 2020 test on the computer. They've said that even though those are identical tests in content, they will have different curves on them, which I think is fair, again, because I think it's advantageous to have a printed copy to be able to write on. So even if, let's say we don't get the ability to write on the test, at least the curve will compensate for it being a slightly harder test if you can't write on it. So yeah, you might miss fewer questions, but the curve will then bring a student's score up. So either way, it will be fair. But if you have any questions at all on this or college admissions or the SAT, astrophysics, I don't know, astrophysics, we'll do our best. But anything else, as always, it's our pleasure to serve you, and we hope that you are all doing very well during this time. All right, take care, stay healthy.